Now, we all know the Ford Focus, but this is the ST model, the high-performance model we're finally getting in North America. Ford has had a long history of producing performance, race, and rally versions of their compact and subcompact cars for decades. They had the Escort versions, rally cars. They also had Fiestas. You might remember the XR4TI that was sold in North America under the Merkur label for a short period of time. And now we have the Focus, and it's good to see that Ford is bringing the cars that they sell in other parts of the world here to North America. Now, this car competes with the Volkswagen GTI, the WRX from Subaru, and the Mazda Speed 3. This is a front-wheel drive car, of course. The WRX is the all-wheel drive version, and we'll get into that more in a second. On price, around the same price. It's about $30,000 to start. The GTI five-door version is $30,000, and also the Mazda Speed 3 is right around $30,000 for the hatchback version. The WRX is $33,000, once again with all-wheel drive. What's at work under the hood of this car is a 2-liter EcoBoost direct injection turbocharged engine. Now, they use this engine in other vehicles, but it's the first time they use it in a performance application. It gives you a great balance of efficiency and power. It's less than the WRX at 265 and less than the Mazda Speed 3 at 263, but substantially more than the GTI from Volkswagen at just 200 horsepower. There is a new GTI coming next year that'll have around 220, 225 horsepower. This car has been tuned to get good efficiency and also deliver some power. I'm getting good mileage, roughly 8 liters per 100 kilometers. But I wish it was tuned a little bit more for the performance end, because when you look at the turbo gauge, it doesn't engage really that much unless you're really asking the car. So yes, they've tuned it to do two things: get efficiency, but also help to get the power down to the front wheels. Inherently, any front wheel drive car with a lot of power, especially a turbocharged car, you get wheel spin. And I've had this car on a rainy day, and yes, when you take off from a light or you go around a corner, the inside wheel can spin and hop in wet conditions. So they're trying to get as much traction down to the road as they can by dialing back that turbo boost. The tuners are going to get hold of this car and crank it back up though. So it isn't a mind-bogglingly powerful car. It makes this Ford Focus a more enjoyable car to drive in all situations. The suspension on the Focus was already good. They've upgraded that and made it stiffer, but with modern suspension dampening and shocks, it doesn't feel jarring. Bigger wheels and tires. You also get better steering feel, nice thick steering wheel, and the inclusion of the direct injection turbocharged engine. But it's not in your face kind of power. It just upgrades the car to make it feel more sophisticated and European. It has more power to pass. You can take off from a light. Sometimes with the original Focus, it could feel a little bit underpowered. This one doesn't, and it makes it a much more rewarding car to drive. If you're really looking for in your face kind of power, this might not be the car, but it does give you a nice balance of efficiency. The biggest drawback, of course, is they're trying to put almost 250 horsepower to just 2 wheels, and that's why a lot of people gravitate towards the WRX. All-wheel drive, high-performance engine, you can actually get the power down. In this car, in certain instances, you can't. Now, when you get inside the ST, the first thing you notice are these massive Recaro seats with ST emblazoned on the backrest. They look fantastic, but when you get in them, you quickly realize that there really isn't much adjustment. The seat goes up and it goes down, but there's no pitch to the bottom of the seat. And you can see that my knees are sitting much higher than my hips, which is good for short periods of time, but on longer trips, you just want to stretch your legs out, and you can't because the pitch of the seat is too high. Side bolsters are fantastic. Maybe bigger people might not fit in this car, but you're sculpted right into this car and you definitely feel connected. The seats do make the car feel a little bit more claustrophobic though. One thing all Focus have is a beautiful dash with attention to detail you typically don't see in cars costing what their entry-level Focuses cost. Soft touch materials on the dash. This car, as I mentioned, starts around $30,000. It has $3,000 worth of extras that you might want to consider. It's got navigation for $700, $1,000 more. You get the upgraded Sony stereo, you get the push-button start and heated seats, and the moonroof is over $1,000 as well. So add all that up and it comes to around $3,000 more at $33,000. That's the same price as the WRX starts at. So you can have a fully loaded Focus ST or get into the entry-level grade of the Subaru WRX, which is pretty primitive on the inside, especially when you look at the two back-to-back. Now, what's the most important thing about this car? It's the engine. Now, $30,000 for a compact car is a lot of money. Most people shop in the $18,000 to $22,000 range, but what you get with this car is a nicely finished vehicle, looks good, beautiful interior, the EcoBoost engine under the hood, and for a few $1,000s more, you can get it fully kitted out for where the WRX starts, but it does not have all-wheel drive. They've tuned the engine, I think, to provide good economy, but also to try and get as much power down to the ground without too much front wheel spin. They've done a good job. I guarantee you there's going to be tuners that are going to grab this car, crank up the boost on the turbocharger, and have a lot of fun. It's a good looking car, and it's good to see that Ford has brought it here to Canada.